Let's just jump right in. What actually happens when artificial intelligence replaces workers way faster than our economy can reabsorb them? We're unpacking a fascinating new economic paper today by Brett Hemingway Falk and Jerry Tsoukalos called The AI Layoff Trap. They're looking at a pretty terrifying disconnect. Basically, individual companies are racing to automate to save a buck, but collectively, they might literally be destroying the exact consumer demand they need to stay in business.
And look, we're already seeing this happen in real time, and it's definitely not subtle. When Block cut almost half of its 10,000-person workforce, CEO Jack Dorsey flat out said that AI made those roles completely unnecessary. He even added that, quote, within the next year, the majority of companies will reach the same conclusion. In 2025 alone, we saw massive job cuts across the US, with AI explicitly blamed for tens of thousands of them. These aren't just statistics on a page. We're talking about real jobs vanishing overnight in tech, customer support, and middle management.
The exposure here is just massive. Research estimates that roughly 80% of U.S. workers hold jobs with tasks that are exposed to large language models, and early signs show this wave is hitting entry-level workers the hardest. Think about the ripple effect on our higher education system for a second. Imagine grinding for 4 years, racking up debt and expectations, only to graduate and find out the entry-level jobs you needed just to get your foot in the door, yeah, they've been automated away. It really sets the stage for an unprecedented economic shift if these grads literally have nowhere to go.
So, here's how we're going to break this down. We'll look at the automation cliff, the ripple effect, on demand, the competitive trap firms are stuck in, why the usual fixes just don't work, and finally, a proposed solution, the automation tax.
Okay, let's start with this idea of the automation cliff and why there's such a dangerous disconnect right now between labor and consumer spending.
Here is the absolutely crucial thing to remember. Workers aren't just expenses on a spreadsheet. They are consumers. When workers, especially those recent college grads we just mentioned, are laid off and can't replace that income, all their discretionary spending just disappears. Every single round of layoffs chips away at the purchasing power that every business relies on. Like if an entry-level coder loses their job to an AI, they're not buying a daily latte anymore, they're delaying buying a car, they're canceling streaming subscriptions. Suddenly, the local barista, the auto worker, the creative professional, they're all hurting because that discretionary money is gone. It's a massive ripple effect.
Which brings us right into the core problem, the demand destruction ripple. How a micro benefit creates a massive macro harm.
So check this out. This perfectly illustrates the disconnect. When Firm A lays off a bunch of workers to switch to AI, they get 100% of the labor cost savings. It looks amazing on their quarterly earnings, right? But the economy's overall loss in consumer spending, that doesn't just hit Firm A. That damage ripples out and hurts all their competitors in the market too. Basically, the firm is outsourcing the economic pain of its layoffs onto everyone else.
And we are absolutely already seeing this strain in the macro data. By the first quarter of 2026, business investment actually overtook consumer spending as the main driver of U.S. GDP growth. At the same time, the personal savings rate dropped down to 3.6%, which is wild. This is a massive red flag that discretionary money is drying up. People are getting tapped out. And since tech layoffs have heavily targeted middle management and support roles, the exact people driving mass market spending, the economy is losing its primary engine.
So, you've got to wonder, if this economic cliff is so obvious, why is every company sprinting right toward it? Well, that is the competitive trap of AI adoption. It's basically a classic prisoner's dilemma.
It comes down to what the researchers call the over-automation wedge. Because a single company only feels a tiny fraction of the total demand loss they cause, they're completely trapped. Think about it. If a company tries to do the noble thing and keep its human staff, their competitors are just going to automate, slash costs, and steal all their market share. So every rational CEO is basically forced to over-automate, cutting jobs way past the point that's actually healthy for the economy. And the fiercer the competition, the wider and more dangerous this wedge gets.
Now you might be thinking, hold on, won't superproductive AI just make the economic pie bigger and fix all this? Well, the research points to the exact opposite. When AI gets better, it triggers this red queen effect. Because highly productive AI lets a company grab even more market share, the temptation to automate just skyrockets. Firms have to run faster and faster just to avoid falling behind, which ironically forces them to automate even faster, making this whole over-automation problem a lot worse.
And here is the real tragedy of the trap. Look at this side-by-side data.
When everyone settles into this dynamic, what economists call the Nash equilibrium, over-automation isn't just taking money from workers and giving it to greedy executives, it's a literal deadweight loss. Worker income and owner profits both drop lower than what they could have been if everyone just cooperated. Eventually, there's just so little discretionary money floating around that even the owners lose. Nobody wins. It's wild.
So if this ends up hurting literally everyone, what on earth do we do about it? Let's take a look at why the typical fixes usually fail when it comes to this specific problem.
We hear a ton about universal basic income, UBI, and capital income taxes being the ultimate fixes for AI taking jobs. But as this table lays out, the paper proves they don't actually fix the root cause. Why? Because UBI and capital taxes target overall profit levels. They might move money around after the fact, but they don't change the actual math at the margin of automation. They don't do a single thing to change the CEO's mind when they're deciding whether to replace a human with a bot right in that moment.
And honestly, even things like giving workers equity or hoping companies will just politely agree to hold back, not going to work. The models show that no single firm is ever going to voluntarily share profits or slow down their AI rollout, because competitors would just free ride on that restraint. You'd basically need every single company on Earth to hold hands and agree to stop automating at the exact same moment. And let's be real, sustaining that kind of grand coalition is completely impossible in the real world.
Okay, so what does work? Let's talk about the one solution that actually realigns these competitive incentives, the automation tax.
The answer they propose is what economists call a Pigouvian automation tax. Unlike a broad generic tax on corporate profits, this is super targeted. It's a per-unit charge. It literally charges the automating firm for the exact fraction of the demand destruction they're pushing onto their rivals. It perfectly aligns the company's private incentives with the actual cost to society. So if a company wants to ditch a worker for AI, they suddenly have to pay up front for the ripple effect that layoff is going to have on the economy's discretionary spending.
And the way you implement it is actually pretty elegant. It's 3 steps. First, you tax the observable automation. Second, that immediately changes the math for the CEO, which breaks that prisoner's dilemma and stops the arms race in its tracks. And third, and this is huge for those fresh college grads we talked about, you recycle that tax revenue directly into hardcore retraining programs. You aren't just handing out welfare checks. You're building real, durable pathways so these displaced workers can get back into the market at good wages and, crucially, get their discretionary spending power back.
So as we barrel toward this new future of work, we have to ask ourselves a really critical question. Are we actually going to regulate the competitive incentives that are driving this AI layoff trap right at the source? Or are we just going to try to slap a Band-Aid on the demand cliff after millions of workers have already fallen off? It's literally the difference between steering the ship and just passing out life jackets after we've hit the iceberg. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope it gave you a totally new perspective on the AI economy.